Nice melons. Yeah, right. Coffee time again. It's the morning after. What a strange way of going on. Final scramble. Did they really bet on someone coming in on activating Bruno's clause to sort everything out? Was that the magic bullet? Whoever's making those decisions needs to be educated in football. Needs to watch a show where I told you how many clubs have paid over 50 million for a player in history and how many right now can or will. Never mind, it's done now. I don't feel the impact of the loss of Minty because I cannot feel emotional attachment to a player who's never kicked the ball for in anger. Anderson's a bit of a loss because we do like a homegrown. Also looking forward, that means we've then got to get our thinking caps on with squad make-up once we get back into Europe again. Not a concern for this season. In terms of this season, I guess Anderson technically is behind Miley in the queue now, so maybe he's served a purpose to release the FFP problems, and he goes with good grace, and we wish him success in his career from here. I'm sure we'll come across paths with him again. But what's the goalkeeper situation? And what's the situation with Gordon? And who initiated what? All very confusing. None of this is a good look, is it? It smacks of a scattergun approach. Who's making the decisions from where? And who's really pulling the purse strings? And I think these are all things that need sorted out over the summer at least. Don't expect anything to come from the club. I can't see anybody making any comments about it because it's embarrassing enough as it is. I think any additional comments will make for more mischief in the press. Just keep your mouth shut, sort your dirty laundry out and quiet and get everything organised, because we need cohesive decision making, and some of the things that have gone on in the last few days certainly don't smack of that to me. But we managed it, much to the disappointment of so-called independent commentators who are seemingly desperate for Newcastle to fail FFP. 2 or 3 who have lost a lot of time for the way they've gone on, one of whom dared to dip his toe in the water of Newcastle Twitter. Don't think he'd be doing that again in a hurry. That's what I love when we come together like that and put someone in that place. Fantastic. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the flight trackers. There was an air ambulance that went from Liverpool to Newcastle the other day. An air ambulance. Although, as somebody said, we finally found where my target is. Kudos to that comment on Twitter. But yeah, I'd say it again for them at the back. That's not how we do business now. I promise you. Direct flights like that doesn't happen very often. It'll only happen for players who were already ours or when a deal's done. The deals are done elsewhere. What else is going on? Dan Ashworth. Man United are painting this as a win. Again, go back and watch a show, one of the Amigos, a little while ago, and I told you about Dan Ashworth's contract. Front-loaded, multi-phased contract. At certain points, the compensation drops. I'm pretty convinced July the 1st would be the first place where that compensation dropped, and my guess would be from 20 to 15 million. So if the 12 million they're believed to have paid in compensation is true, it's not quite the win that they're painting it to be, is it? But I'm sure the curated press will tell you how fantastic it is, and have shown Newcastle what the big boys do in negotiation. They didn't want that to go to arbitration. Emails, and it would have opened another can of worms for them with other players involved and other people involved. So best of British. Dan Ashworth has a lot of things painted that he's been brilliant for. Certainly what he did at Brighton seems phenomenal, and they seem to have gone on without him very well. So that begs the question, was that a legacy he left in place, or was that already at Brighton anyway? Didn't do too well with the cricket. His involvement with 100, a non-starter of a competition for me, doesn't get me excited. Another competition invented by people in the south who seem to think the north stops at Leeds. Yeah, there's a whole 3 counties north of that. Never mind, forgotten again, eh? And what legacy does he leave at Newcastle United? If he was the hub that connected the spokes, maybe that's why we've had this disjointed way of going on, as people take on different roles and the left hand and right hand aren't necessarily talking. I still think financial decisions are being made in Riyadh, so whoever's making those needs somebody sitting on his shoulder with some football knowledge. That wouldn't be unreasonable, I think. I think we are going to see some change this season internally, and certain people wanting to take the reins a bit harder. I don't think that'll be a bad thing if the last few days are anything to go by. But hopefully down the road this will just be looked back on as a little blip along the way. Well, we nearly fucked it up and managed to save ourselves, courtesy of a young lad who's never kicked the ball for, and a young lad who came off a production line, which hopefully will get longer and will be able to do things that, like, Chelsea, who seem to get away with murder, are allowed to do. Their profit off of their young players remains to be something that they have built over time and are reaping the rewards of now. That's before you start looking at hotel sales and associated companies. Speaking of which, is that something else that's held us back this ahead of FFP? Have we been having to delay things because the Premier League have been stalling on associated company sponsorship? Certainly something that's been on my mind, and something that's not unreasonable, I think. Would they stop it? No. But are we arguing about numbers? Probably. And this is the essence at the minute. It seems to be, if your money comes from the Middle East, there's something dodgy about it. If your money comes from America, fine. And if your money comes from an imaginary Far East betting company, even better. Even if they are using pictures of the CEO of a Chinese TikToker who's been dead for 3 years or something like that. This is the mess that the Premier League have. And I look at other clubs, I look at Villa. They had a phenomenal season last season, you can't deny that. League table doesn't lie. And they're going into the Champions League, having to have made deals in some sort of bizarre swap merry-go-round and lose 2 of their best players and 1 of their best young players, probably for less than they're worth, to satisfy somebody else's regulations on what's financial fair play. That said, it's difficult to have sympathy for people who helped to vote it in and didn't see beyond the end of, well, this will stop Newcastle. And again, I come back to those taking glee and watching us having to duck and dive at the last minute to do it. I still remain, if that was Man United, there'd be people in the press saying, well, that's just smart accounting. Always we're going to do it. It's amazing how the narrative changes for certain clubs. The cartel seems to be ever more a red one. Liverpool, Arsenal, Man U. With Chelsea sort of on the edge. Man City fighting against the Premier League. And Spurs just hanging on to the coattails. Because Spurs know the minute they introduce debt into the equation, they're in big trouble. They're carrying close to $1 billion in debt. No wonder they were happy to do the Australia trip the same way we were. But less has been made of that for them. Funny that. So didn't listen to the white noise. Keep it hard. Don't knee jerk. Going forward, I think we're going to be in a much better place. Keep the faith and all that. It's difficult to say trust the process when everybody's been so upset by everything. And I get that. So I'll try not to say that again. What I will say is I still believe we're in the hands of people of good intention. I still believe we're in the hands of people who want to make Newcastle United the most successful club in Europe. And if they're allowed to stretch their legs and really open the coffers, that'll happen. But if they've got to be clever about it and find other ways to do it, I'm quite sure they'll try their best to make it happen, and we'll enjoy the ride along the way. Newcastle United's always been a roller coaster. We're just operating at a different level now. See you soon, lads and lasses.